Because I know from the British Gut Project and the American Gut Project, you found that diversity was one of the main, the main things which you can do as an individual to improve your own microbial health. And even, a few minutes ago, you mentioned three things. You mentioned like ultra processed foods are one of the big, our modern food system is really affecting our microbiome. The cities, and then antibiotics, like trying to avoid unnecessary antibiotics. And I just wondered, in terms, is there a weighting across those three? Like, is food spending more time in nature, or avoiding unnecessary antibiotics? Is there a kind of weighting, or is it personalized again? It's very much in line with some of your
Well, you can only talk on average. But if you're on average from the epidemiology studies, food is number one. You will get some individuals who've had a lot of antibiotics and, had problems with it. But overall, if we improved our food, and I think this is the empowering bit, because, the most important health choices we make every day are our food choices. And if we did learn to make better ones, we would all improve our health and our gut microbiomes. And I think that's the important thing. It's, most of us have had our antibiotics. We can blame our parents or the school or whatever it was, or the doctors. Hard to change that. And we may need them to save our life in the future. Obviously, we can't all go and live as hermits, living in a barn with animals all the time. We can do a little bit of that, going out at weekends and, gut, or even gardening and things, which is good for your gut microbes. But the most important thing, and the thing we can change every day rapidly, is improving what we eat. And that will have a really rapid effect.
And the kind of the foundation of that is to increase more fiber-rich foods, because fiber is the ultimate. People are obsessed with a probiotic, but fiber is ultimately the prebiotic. Isn't that true?
Well, it's a combination of factors. So, I always say this, 5 key elements to improving your gut microbes. One is to eat a diversity of plants. And from the British Gut Project, we came up with this 30 plants a week, which, and that includes nuts and seeds and herbs and spices, just to give variety to produce lots of microbial species, and fiber, because if you have 30 a week, you're going to get the fiber without counting it. Then the other one is eat the rainbow. So you're getting all the colorful plants, but also you're getting things you may not have thought of as healthy, like coffee, extra virgin olive oil, dark chocolate, even some small amounts of alcohol like red wine, because they're very, very tannic and they have those high polyphenols. But berries and nuts and seeds. And then fermented foods is the third one. Regular fermented foods, not once a week, but several times a day, and try and get more than just yogurt, because there's many more out there. Give your microbes a rest at night. Just like you, they need to relax. And when they do relax, when they're not eating food, they will be repairing your gut wall. They'll be having a sort of repair team comes out at night, just like you have different teams in American football. It's a whole new team comes out when you stop eating. And so you've got to give them the chance to do their repair work, clean up your gut wall, and get you metabolically in a really good shape. And then finally, it's stop eating ultra-processed food with all those chemicals that have emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners, preservatives that are really interfering with your gut microbes and making them send off all kinds of weird chemical signals that you don't want. So that's the 5-point plan. And I think if you can do most of those things most days, you'll be on the right track.
What I really like about it is that it's not prescriptive. It's not like, the way food can often be religious, with people having, I'm ketogenic, I'm a blah, 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 whatever label you want to be. But it's very, it sounds like it's baggy enough that people go, okay, well, it's to eat 30 plants a week, eat probiotics, eat the rainbow, and
eat fermented foods.
Yeah, eat fermented foods.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying to anyone, don't eat meat or don't eat fish or don't eat eggs. Once you've got that base, you can do what you like, and our studies haven't shown big differences. As long as you can eat that range of plants, on top of that, if you've got a particular preference for things, that's fine. And, and sometimes, maybe you have to have the odd bit of ultra processed food in order to enjoy all those plants, you may be someone who has to have a bit of mayonnaise on something, but I don't mind as long as you're getting those plants in. And, we're eating 60% of our calories as ultra processed food. So even if we get that down to 20%, that's still going to be really good. So I think we don't want to be talking about absolute amounts. And also I like the 80-20 rule, if you can do this 80% of the time, it's going to be sustainable for your life. And this is really what I think the emphasis of my books are, and also the company Zoe is, we're not after a quick fix here. We're trying to change people's idea about eating and what healthy food is, and make that sustainable for the rest of their life. So they'll always look at food differently, and won't be beat up if they, go to a party and, they drink too much alcohol and have some, crisps and snacks and whatever, and don't fast and do everything wrong. It doesn't matter, as long as you see this as a long-term journey, that you're doing more and more of that. And it's combating this idea of these food religions and the calorie counters and I'll never do this, I'll never do that. I think it's really a different way of thinking about food, and it's great. And I think, we're getting great responses to the people who have done it, because they do see it as a way of life, rather than there's just some restrictive diet that, works for 3 months, then fails miserably.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's really inclusive, which is the key to any change.
Yeah, we've certainly been plant pushers for the last 20 years, and our main mantra has always been to eat more veg, because it's a bit like it is applicable no matter what your, food philosophy is.
I think it was hard to have a message without really the science to back it up. And I think once you start giving people a reason to eat veg, other than saying, it's great to be veggie or vegan, which appeals to some people, but probably not the majority, then it makes it a lot easier, because they, and I think this idea that if you eat lots of plants, you're nurturing your own internal jungle or garden, and that, all these other little animals depend on you for what you put in there. And you can start teaching children that, and you can start getting that idea out. People will stop putting any old crap in their mouth and hoping that, it's going to boost them just because it's got, added protein on the label.